Today's video is all about OPENSERV, the future of work. Today we're going to be doing a deep dive into this project, looking into some of the fundamentals. We're going to be talking about the team, the tokenomics, the utility, and the overall value proposition of this project, and trying to figure out whether it has what it takes to make it to our portfolio. So you know what, let's talk about the news, let's analyze the charts, and let's strategize to capitalize. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mike, and let's get right into it, guys. If you're new to the channel, welcome. On the channel, we talk about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the altcoins, looking for opportunity. And the question is OPENSERV an opportunity? Guys, we're going to be doing a deep dive. We're going to be looking into this project within a little bit of detail, obviously looking at the different aspects of the project, coming in from a retail investor perspective, and seeing if the team, the OPENSERV team, gives us enough of the details that we need to become fundamentally bullish. We're going to be using the website as the main platform. We're going to be talking about the good, the bad, and the ugly. We're going to see ultimately, is it worth our time? Is it worth the effort to build a position into this project? All right, guys. So let's begin. Let's begin by, just scraping through the website real quick to see what we got here. The future of work, pioneering the infrastructure for autonomous AI agents. Right off the bat, we can see it's part of a very, very hot narrative. AI agents is something that a lot of people are buzzing about at the current moment. And of course, the ability for an agent to replace an individual, an individual in the workforce, is something that a lot of people are also worried about, but also find it as an interesting opportunity. Okay, so let's see how their take on this. Obviously, they got the white papers right here. I have that open in another tab already for us, so we can go back to that in a second. And then, if you want to join their community, they have a few, socials. They're on YouTube. They're on Telegram, they have Twitter, and they have Discord. All the major outlets there to get involved with the community and get to know who they are. We'll talk about their socials in a little bit more detail later and how they're doing on socials and the team and all of that stuff. So let's continue scraping through the market. So far, I kind of like what the design, nice and simple, fresh, clean. OPENSERV flagship innovation, an all-in-one automation platform for individuals and businesses, leveraging the power of AI agents through a no-code interface. Okay, so that's an objective. An objective that they have is to allow developers or people in general, because you don't have to be a developer in this case if there's no code. You can go there, drag and drop a few blocks or something like that, and or maybe type in a few commands based on AI, and then maybe get some things going, which is obviously a great idea, because then you have less friction, less barriers to entry, and ecosystem growth benefits from this. So whenever I see this type of idea, I see like, okay, it's good for the average person so that they can get involved. Effortless build, employ, and prosper from multi-agent teams. So we're talking about this swarm idea, to be able to create different agents and bring them together to produce an overall team of individual agents, and those agents specialize in different aspects, and together as a collaborative unit, they're able to produce or get into an overall scenario where they can help each other out and build and achieve objectives. Automate your work, automate your business, automate your life. Okay, sure, that sounds great. Let's keep on going down. We got a nice pop-up here, some visuals. We got the different agents that do different things, and you can see they kind of work in a very cyclical manner, and you can build them and deploy them, connecting to different platforms and so on and so forth, waiting for this, waiting for that. Now, as I'm scrolling down, right, I'm looking at what they're trying to achieve, and it sounds really good theoretically. And what I'm going to try to do here is, see exactly where this project is at with regards to its final product, right? Its final product at the current moment seems to not be here, right? It's just right now a theoretical thing. Okay, so I'm going to keep on going, and you can see that the browse automation AI, autonomous AI agents. Now, if you start clicking around, you can find browse the marketplace. Where's the marketplace? I don't see any marketplaces. Okay, so this is now right now in a stage where the website either is not built in a very user-friendly way or an intuitive way, or literally there's no marketplace marketplace, and I'm getting the sense that there is no marketplace at the current moment. There are no agents at the current moment. Okay, so where's the final product? We're halfway through the website almost, and there's no final product or any product whatsoever. Create your own custom team of agents. Again, this autonomous agent swarm of agents that could get together and do their thing. We're getting a little bit repetitious here, which is fine. It's okay. We got some infographics and so on. Let's keep on going down. I'm clicking along the way to see if any of this is active, to see if we can get into a marketplace or we can browse anything. Leverage your AI workforce to realize your vision. Okay, a little bit more about that. Obviously, the workforce, again, the vision, and them working together to complete that vision. So I appreciate the website doing its thing, trying to really sell the idea. That's fine, but what is it selling? Is it just an idea? That's the thing. Again, we're further, way further than about halfway, and we're still trying to figure out where's the product. Integrate all your favorite apps. Okay, this is an very interesting thing, because we do use a lot of these on a daily basis. So this is Google Drive, Figma, Midjourney, Sora, YouTube, TradingView, Twitter, LinkedIn, Etherscan. This is a lot. These platforms hold all the data in our daily lives. That's the reality. Our watching behavior, pretty much Google everything behavior, Shopify, our purchasing behavior. If you're a dev, your development behavior, and things that you've created. X, another social, very social platform that allows the agents to collect data based on who you are as an individual in a social environment. Your wallet perhaps, or the wallets of others, or the different wallets within an ecosystem, or in a chain, and so on. So you can see that there's a lot of integration possibilities here, and obviously this requires a lot of work, right? And I don't see any product that right now is using these, but this is a lot of work. There's a lot of APIs that need to be tapped into here. There's a lot of right now, a lot of the agents that exist are still struggling with X and trading Telegram API and integrating that properly within the models, the AI models. Okay, so that's right now the biggest challenge, and to see all these logos here is hopeful, of course, but it's still, in my opinion, very speculative at this current moment. Okay, so let's keep on going down. The components that make it all possible. Okay, so they're trying to explain how things work layer by layer. The modular studio, so a user-friendly interface that allows you to drag and drop. The marketplace. Okay, this is all, again, clickable. No, nothing here. There's no marketplace, there's no studio, just the idea. The agent layer, this is where you build the agent that can do stuff. This is the cognition framework, like the framework as far as which framework are they going to use to bring the AI intelligence into the agent, and obviously that is something that I question whether they're going to make an in-house framework, or are they going to use an external framework like AI16Z or a Web 2 framework that already exists. This is something that I'm questioning. Like, an internal custom framework is something that I'm seeing already being talked about within the narrative. So I'm curious on their stance and what they're doing there. And given the fact that I can see clearly that this product is still very early, I don't even know if they're even contemplating on something like this at the current moment. Collaboration protocol, our flagship framework agnostic protocol to enable any agent on our platform to interact and collaborate with one another, any agent, any framework. Okay, so this is, again, a common trend, this agnostic collaborative idea. I'm curious to see how this applies. Again, very theoretical, and that's about it. Okay, so infographics, A+, but only theory at the current moment. Multi-agent infrastructure, purpose 4. Again, back to the swarms idea for task automation, enterprise platform services, so a bit more repetition. OPENSERV ecosystem. Okay, there is no ecosystem at the current moment that I can tell. So if you click, let's see what happens here. Nothing. What happens here? Nothing. This is all speculation. This is all like where they think they want this thing to go, where they plan on making this thing go. Okay, so I'm not getting anything here. It's nice to see that they want to have all of this happening, B2C, B2B, all of these ideas, but these are just ideas at the current moment, as I can see. OPENSERV powers an entire ecosystem of agent frameworks, platforms, and exploratory research initiatives. OPENSERV as an organization does this. Okay, and I'm just going to remind you, this deep dive has everything to do with the token. This is a Web3 a deep dive, not a Web2. So what I'm seeing here is OpenServe currently is just showing me Web 2 capabilities. Okay, so I'm going to be very clear about this. I say this every deep dive. OpenServe at the current moment is an organization, a company that is thinking of doing this. Now, where does tokenization, where does Web3, where does cryptocurrency, where does blockchain fit into all of this? Everything that is spoken about so far on this website can be done in a Web 2 scenario. Okay, so I'm trying to see where we're going with this, and again, if it's just a project where they just have a token and slap a token on a Web 2 product, it's not really a strong Web 3 idea. Okay, it could be a strong Web 2 idea, it could be great, but not Web 3, and this is where we have to be really clear about that. Okay, so there are links at the top, there are links at the bottom. I do have some of them already open. I'm gonna just let you know that as I was opening a lot of these and looking through them, there's tons of repetition. So what I did do is keep the ones that I thought that was most evident, and the ones that, you know, encompassed a lot of the ideas that we should go through, because a lot of these are repetitious, and also the about, and so on and so forth. So far what we do see is a website that has quite a bit of information as far as explaining the idea. Now, if we start getting into some of these tabs that I got going on here, this is about the team. Okay, let's keep the team here for a second. Build with us. I found this to be the most interesting, one of the interesting tabs. And of course, because the main website did a good job explaining the product. Very thorough, okay? Empowering developers to shape the future of AI. Why build with OpenServe? Tools and resources for developers, and so on, documentation and tutorials, step-by-step guides on how to quickly to get started, open source projects, okay? Monetize your agents. This is where you can have a marketplace, and this is a common thing. We've seen this across the market so far, where agents, you know, even when we were talking about AI agents, when it was just AI in general, you can just have a model that does certain things, and you can, you know, put that on a marketplace where individuals can use that model for a fee, and you could earn, and so on and so forth. So this is looking good. Okay, so far, and host your own agent, create with us. Again, a lot of repetitions, but what I find interesting is this framework right here. You can see that they're mixing very common branding, and I'm going to focus on the Web3. It looks like Tau, and this is Grok, but it's not Web3 per se. But we do have, or is it? Because I know we do have a project out there that is based on this. But honestly, I'm going to be just focusing on Tau, because Tau is one of the major ones that we're buzzing about in the last little while. Its market cap is massive. It's a big project. It's liked amongst the crypto community. Now, what's interesting to me is that these logos at the current moment represent both Web 2 and Web 3 application, which is totally fine. Maybe they're not solely focused on Web 3. They're also offering Web 2 solutions, and that's totally fine. It's nothing wrong with that. I just question is, how does this represent blockchain technology? Nothing so far demonstrates to me that it needs to be a blockchain or a crypto project. As I can see, collaboration protocol, low code builder. This is all Web 2, and then here you're talking about the back end, how the intelligence. In fact, this is a cognition framework, right? This is where the brains come from. Now, you know, are we going to use Tau? Do they have any set up already? Are they partnered with them? Do they have any relationships out there to bring the Web3 decentralized AI infrastructure to OpenServe? I don't get anything from this. These logos, in fact, could be deceiving to a retail investor, suggesting that they are partnerships, which they are clearly not. I feel like these are just examples at the current moment of types of frameworks that can be used within the OpenServe ecosystem. Then I go on and start to think, you know, what about the infrastructure itself, as far as the service, like as far as the DPIN? Is this backed by DPIN? And the fact is that it is a a lot of Web 2 application here, as you can see. Is there going to be a DePIN infrastructure, or are they going to use Google and AWS and Azure? And this is some of the things that I look for in a high quality decentralized Web3 application. Now, in their defense, I'm just going to say this: a lot of the current AI agents that are coming out at the current moment are still using centralized backends, right? And DePIN is, I think, the next phase, right? They're going to focus on a decentralization, and after they get their whole, let's say, complete framework settled and done, and it's working good, then they can slowly decentralize their backend. Okay, so maybe that's what they're doing, but ultimately, I'm not getting anything Web3 at the current moment. Okay, this is all Web2 right now. Let's keep on going. Fully agnostic. Again, we have more logos, and as you can see, we have Google, we have AWS, we have IO, which is a Web3 Solana based provider for a decentralized compute, which is good, fine. Integrated any GPU provider, and this is what they're trying to say. This is not a relationship or anything that they have currently in place or anything. I think this is just an idea. Now, I did speak to the founder on Telegram very briefly. He was willing and open to answer a few questions, but then once I had started doing my research on my own, I just did realize that this project is still very young, despite opinion. The reality is that for a Web3 project, this Web3 project is super, super young. Very, very young. There's no product, right? And I'm going to go on further, and we're going to continue digging into this because I feel like it needs our attention, even from a perspective of understanding where this project stands within the space that we are here for, which is the Web3 space. I see a lot of Web2 here, guys. A lot of Web2. This is the API, the Web2, yes, and they have no partnership with IO whatsoever, and I'm hoping to see some partnerships here in the future, but right now there is none. This is all theoretical, and you can see powered agents using GPU provider of your choosing. No, it's of their choosing technically, because they need to provide that scenario. We can't just go and say, I'm going to partner up with IO, or I'm going to make my agent work with IO, or how does this work? They have to provide this connection. So I don't know what they're dealing with at the current moment, what they have on their menu. Let's call it a menu, and so far you can see host an agent from any framework. Of course, that's very possible. We're seeing a lot of the agents do that right now, where you can use different frameworks to create, but you can see Tau, and then you also see, is this Tau? I think it is Tau, or maybe I'm wrong. Regardless, if it's not Tau or it is, it's not the point. The point is, could we have a crypto-based, decentralized-based agent framework, or are we going to have a completely centralized platform or framework? Okay, so this is something that I'm really more interested in. I want a complete decentralized framework here in order to fully support a Web3 application. As we keep on going down, we can see monetize your skills. A lot of this is still theoretical, not clickable, no information, lots of graphics and all of that. Sure, I can make money by making an AI agent. Fine. And then we conclude. Okay, so theory. Fine, that's great. Let's move on. Let's see what else we got here. Let's talk about the team. Really, I think the website did a good job already. And this is the team. Now, okay, maybe what we'll do is we'll hold off for the team again. I'm going to push the team aside for a moment. Let's take a look at their documentation. This is the only doc that they have. Now, it is a PDF, which you guys know I'm not crazy about PDFs because they're documents that are hard-coded. They're done. Like, once you publish them, they're hard to maintain and keep up to date, and they start circulating and they get outdated really quickly. Whereas with a Git book, an active document, it shows when it's been updated and when it's when the collaborators have gotten involved on the document, and it's an active document, which I appreciate. But at the current moment, you can see that OPENSERV does provide this. Let me minimize this, zoom out a little bit here, because I'm not going to read this to you, obviously, guys, but we can see they do a nice academic style paper, but unfortunately there's no date, right? That for me is a big problem, because without a date, you don't know when this thing was created, when this was written. And sometimes, yes, the fundamentals don't change, but they do, especially when a project is very, very young, things do change. So I'm not going to go through all of this. In fact, I'm going to scroll much quicker than usual. You can see it's 46 pages long, obviously. obviously. And there's a lot of theory talking about why OpenSea, why is it an opportunity. It's almost like a business plan, okay, providing you a lot of, or a marketing plan, a lot of different aspects of why OpenServe has an opportunity, right, to enter the market. So there's technological framework of OpenServe, of course, the cognition framework, and OpenServe with enhanced cognitive abilities. Is it going to be their own framework, or are they going to bring in other frameworks, you know? And that's something that I'm, you know, interested in. Obviously, bringing in other frameworks is totally fine, as long as it's a Web3 style framework. I'm okay if they want to bring Web2 as well. That's totally fine. But then again, as long as they have the option for Web3 frameworks, we're okay. Memory capabilities, again, memory. We're talking about storage. Where is this memory? Where is this DPIN? Do we have a DPIN infrastructure for this memory? And the training of the models require processing. Are we going to be using DPIN, or are we going to be using Azure? And that's again something that maybe they offer both, but there's nothing there right now. There's no product, so we don't know if it's factual. We don't know if it's actually in the works. We don't know much. And again, they are working on it. Apparently they have a dev. The DevNet is coming out very soon. But I'm not speaking about the future. I'm speaking about the current place that we're in. There's not much happening. Advanced framework for multi-agent collaboration sounds interesting. Okay, we talked about this already. Modular workspace studio, no code design builder, we talked about that. Agent marketplace, non-existent, and so on. So there's a lot of repetition, more logos, and all of this. Project manager, this is how the swarm effect is going to take place, and we can keep on going now. Lots of reading, guys. Feel free to read this in a lot more detail. Advanced memory mechanism, obviously, in order for an agent to be trained appropriately, needs to keep a database of its memories to learn from. And again, is that a decentralized platform? Is it something where those memories are owned by the user, or is it stored on the blockchain so that it's decentralized in itself? You got to think about those memories, and all that memory is valuable also. So you want to be able to be in self-custody of those memories. We're talking about Web3 here. We're not talking about Web2 only. And so far as I read, it's a very Web2 established product. Okay, and it's not even a product just yet. So I'm going to keep on scrolling now. Now we're about going to about 24 pages so far, and I'm just scrolling really quickly for the conclusion, user experience, yada yada. Interesting stuff, of course. Theoretically, it's got everything that you need to basically kind of explain to you their outlook, where they're going with things. Now, at the bottom, you get Web3. Finally, Web3. Now, there's a revenue model. There's a fee, a straightforward marketplace fee. So they're going to be able to earn in this way. And now are they going to take crypto payments, or what's going on here for Upwork, whose marketplace? So they're comparing it with Upwork and the ability to earn fees, because ultimately, if we're going to be creating an agent to work for us, it's analogous to hiring an agent on Upwork to work for us. And that's where they're making the comparison, which I can see very valuable comparison there. Okay, so that's interesting. But now the important thing, finally, after about 36 pages to the downside on this document, we're finally getting to the actual Web3 implementation. Now, most people might think that SERV or a token is just for liquidity, and sure, for the most part it is, but there's also utility can be applied to the token itself. And this is where I emphasize the most. This is where I give a project the most points, right? Is where they are allocating the value here by having a token. Don't have a token if you don't need one, right? Just use, if it's just for making payments, you might as well just use your local currency. You don't need a token if it's just a Web2 project with a token slapped on it, right? That's the whole point here. So let's see if this is the case. Now, we can see a lot of good vocabulary, galvanizing community in the way it taps into a crowdsourcing novel ideas, builds an early user base for the product, iterates together with community beta testers. Guys, this is lots of vocabulary, lots of fluffy vocabulary. Okay, so I appreciate that they're trying to, you know, be very thorough, maybe sensational here, but it's as a document that's supposed to be tech based. This is just a lot of fluff, in my opinion. So we're going to keep on going down. In order to seed the marketplace, OpenServe needs to accomplish two things: fulfill both developer and user demand. Of course, this is something that I talk about very often here on the channel. You know, ecosystem growth. How do you get the ecosystem to grow? You need utility. You need a reason for people to come in. You need a reason for developers to build, because there's a user base. So it's a fine balancing act between developing and getting the users, and at least they acknowledge that's the case. But I think right now, as a complete Web 2 application that I'm seeing here, they're going to be providing services or products that the users could engage with, or rent or use, and as agents. But ultimately, why a token? This is, again, why do we need a token? There's no explanation to me other than providing liquidity, which you don't need to provide liquidity if you're using local currency, right? So let's keep on going. I see a lot of good stuff about SERV, in the sense that token from market to send to your burn wallet ensures consistent growth demand pressure. So they do have a burn mechanism, and we're going to talk about that in a second on how that burn mechanism works. But the whole concept here is, if you're going to have a burn mechanism, right, it better be clear. Right? Who's governing the burn mechanism? Is it written in the contract? Is it governed by a decentralized autonomous organization, a DAO? Or is it going to be something that, maybe the founders get together one day around the table and say, let's burn some? Right? This is what separates a Web 2 organization versus a Web 3 organization. And this is where I'm going to start to get into. Now, I can tell you this: the burn mechanism has very little detail to no detail at all. It's all based on where the team or the board members, as the founder has expressed to me, the board has a lot of control over the way the organization is run, especially when we talk about tokenomics. Let's talk about that in a bit more detail, because we finally got into something that explains the token to us. Right now, what its utility is, so far it's just going to be served as a currency. That's what I can see right now, because what we are trying to do, what we see here is we have $1 billion max supply, which is fine, nothing wrong there. ERC20, which is, again, fine, but it's on the Ethereum network. I question that decision. That decision could have been made a while back, when maybe the options weren't readily available, which I would say maybe not, because Solana's been around for a while. Why not deploy on Sol? Right now, if the question is that you can easily get on base, I also agree that could be a quick pivot, which should have already been done, in my opinion. Right? Holding all the liquidity on Ethereum just for a token, just for currency, in my opinion, is a bad idea, because if all your vision is currency, Ethereum network is a bad network for currency. Clean and simple. The exchange, the gas fees are insanity. So if your vision is just currency, get off Ethereum, find a better chain. Use an L2 of some sort. Okay, so that's coming from a Web3 perspective, from somebody that knows the Web3 space very well. Okay, so let's keep on going. Token standard, that's fine. Circulating supply right now is 66% more or less, which seems very good, and I will agree. The fact is that having 66% of the liquidity already in circulating supply should put you at rest, in the sense of a rug pull or anything like that. However, there is still 34% that is locked up. And we still have to question where those 34% are locked and how are they going to be distributed, because it's still a bit of sell pressure there. 34% of a big pie is still quite a bit. So we're going to be critical about that. And then we're going to talk about the 5% buy and sell tax, which, whenever you have the word tax in any white paper here in this crypto space, that is a negative. It's a negative. You should not have a tax, in my opinion. It's frowned upon. So that idea, and that shows me that it wasn't well thought. That's not a good idea to have a tax. And the word tax in itself is anti-crypto right now, because we know that at the current rate of our sentiment right now is tax is just a manipulation, right? Fair taxing rules haven't been implemented in a long while, and having the word tax just shows very a very systemic thing that we are not very comfortable with anymore. So 5% buy and sell. I understand the strategy is to keep liquidity locked, so people don't want to buy and sell. Once you buy, you're enticed to just lock it up and not sell, because you're going to have to pay a fee. But it's meant to do bootstrap funding, and it will decrease over time, eventually removed entirely. So how do we know that that's going to be the case? Number one, who decides when that happens? And it sounds like a very not an autonomous organization at this current moment. Okay, so I want to try to give it the benefit of the doubt. I know I'm slowly really being very critical here, but you know, here on the channel, I'm about talking about the good, the bad, and the ugly. I already talked about some good stuff already. Now I'm slowly seeing things that I'm not really keen on. Okay, so let's keep on going down. Uniswap liquidity pool, so they have 25% in Uniswap. Of course, that's where they're at right now. I don't even know what this is. It's a public sale. I don't know what the first word is. Maybe I'm just out of the loop. But we 25% initial lock, 100%. But the good news is that is already in distribution. Ecosystem treasury. This is a problem for me because we're talking about multi-sig lock. I get it. Multi-signature lock means that it requires multiple signatures in order to access that liquidity. However, guys, who owns the keys to those locks? Basically, who owns the keys to those locks? That is the major concern right here. Okay, so we'll talk about that in a little bit more detail in a second. And then we have the core contributors, which hold about 10%, and we're waiting for their unlocks as well. And we're going to talk about the unlocks in the vesting schedule. But if you look at it, it equals 34%. Okay, so if you look back and you start to see 66, which is already in circulating supply, and you look at this, which still needs to enter circulation, the two categories that are still waiting to enter the market is the treasury and the core contributors. Okay, and if you look at these two categories, what do they have in common? Well, they are early stakeholders. Okay, so this is part of the team in and of itself. The team, the early stakeholders, people that are right up there on the top of the organization. So something that we really need to understand is, you know, when we start to see centralization or decentralization, we want to also know where the liquidity, whether the liquidity is decentralized or centralized. Right now, the reserve, the way this token distribution is allocated, the rest of it is very centralized. Okay, let me continue going down and I'll explain why. We're slowly jumping into the roadmap, and I might as well touch upon it now because this is the first instance that you're going to see of a particular roadmap. I understand the dedication to a roadmap is one that really does put a lot of pressure, especially in the development game. I get it. I'm a dev myself. I understand it. Putting times and dates on things is risky because if you don't make it, you're going to have lots of volatility. I get it, but nothing regarding timing or scheduling whatsoever. At least quarterly phases. What is that phase? When does phase one begin, given that this document doesn't even have a date? Okay, so you don't even know where phase one begins or where phase two begins or ends or anything like that. And the reality is it's like a lot of just good beta testing, expand headcount. What does that even mean? What is that headcount? They're hiring people? What kind of people? Why? You know, there's a lot more detail here that needs to be provided. And this is a very, very weak attempt to a roadmap. Okay, so look, accountability is key. I understand. And it's very rough out there, but accountability is very important as well to get you know, investors interested and earning the trust of the investors because they want to know where you're going with things. We don't know where they're going with this because this is not enough detail, and we're talking about mobile apps at a place where the product is not even out there. So I think maybe they're still in phase one or maybe it's still in phase two, given that this doesn't even give us that much detail. And anyway, they already token launch, expand headcount. Maybe they're here. Who knows? Growth partnerships. Maybe they definitely do have to do that. So conclusion, guys, feel free to read that. There's a lot of references. It seems very academic, but the reality is it needs a lot of more improvement. I'm going to quickly just stay here for a second because we got to get back to the team in a minute. Okay, so I'm going to revisit the team. But for now, let's take a look at the tokenomics one last time to give you a bit more detail. You can see that if you go to crypto rank, you have a bit of details with regards to their unlocks. So all of this is already unlocked, and we have the linear unlock here for the core contributors, and then you have the untracked, which is this right here with the multi-sig, which is 24%. And again, who is in control of that? There's no schedule, there's no real definition as to who is dealing with that. So this is clear. We're going to be tokens are going to be starting to get released right around here, which I think is in August or so, which is is good. And if you look at the table, you can see very clearly that we're still waiting for core contributors. 9-month cliff, then 0.18% daily for 18 months. And then again, the untracked is basically waiting for the team to make a decision on when they are going to get those tokens in circulation. Now, I was clearly told by the founder that this organization is not governed by a DAO. Okay, in any way. There's a board. Again, who hires the board? How is the board developed and all of this? And the board, again, was clearly told to me that they are in charge of the treasury, which is 24% of the token liquidity. That's quite a bit. And then the core contributors being part of the team is another 10. So the early investors, again, the early stakeholders, 34%. That is that's the risk you take now, that they are going to keep those tokens, safe, in the sense that they're not going to dump. Now, if you look at the token distribution, the wallet distribution, we have liquidity locked up. This is the lockup. Again, a 34% locked up in the multi-sigs, and then you have the liquidity for Uniswap, and then all kinds of token distributions distributed amongst many wallets. Very healthy. I don't see a major issue. I don't see the quantity. Sometimes you can see that there's similar quantities, but similar, it doesn't mean look like this. It does look a little bit too similar. I'm worried a little bit, but not too worried. A lot of similar quantities everywhere give you a bit of a red flag, but at least there's a lot of wallets, guys. Again, this type of analysis is it needs a little bit more detail, but still, at least that we know a lot of these tokens are distributed amongst a lot of wallets, guys. That's all I could offer here without getting too deep into the on-chain analytics. Okay, so that's that. Feel free to dig deeper and make your comparisons. Now, again, back to this. If we go back to the fact that this is not a DAO, there is no DAO, so the token could have been given much more than just a currency. It could have been given a DAO status, meaning that if token holders have a certain amount of tokens, they could use those tokens in governance. Basically, the more tokens you hold, the more you could vote, or whatever mechanism they would want to implement. But really would decentralize the authority, not only over the decision making within the organization, and maybe the hiring and of talent could have been decentralized as well. I've seen DAO structures do the same thing. They vote in different individuals within the team, whether it be marketing and the devs or whatever. They vote them in, and then they get hired technically through a DAO. But also the liquidity, the treasury, guys. The treasury is not decentralized; it's very centralized. So we're relying on the team. So back to that. Who's the team? Let's take a look. Let's see who is part of that team. We have meet the team. We got a couple dudes in here, a couple individuals. We have some talent, which is great. We have Tim. He's the founder and CEO, Tim Hafner. And we have Lucas Hafner. If I'm not mistaken, again, just by looking at their last name, they seem related. I can imagine that they look very similar. They are siblings of some, and they definitely are working together on this project. And as you go forward, we have, some other individuals. We got this dude right here, a chief technology officer, really good. Okay, fine. And then we come down and we got the marketing guru, and we got some more AI systems architects. And obviously, like as per usual, I get in more detail. And as I got into the more detail about these individuals, because of course, when you're talking about young projects, the team is much more valuable than a lot, right? Sometimes, you look at the tokenomics, we know that we get VCs and all this, the liquidity, the unlocks and all of that. And then what happens is you're saying, okay, but they need the liquidity, they need the capital to get this project off the ground. But then you start looking into the team. How trustworthy are they? How good are they? How much talent do they have? And again, the team is not the worst. It is not bad. Let's take a look at it. And you can go on LinkedIn, you can find a whole a bunch of team members, right? They've got a few here. Now, what came to my attention, the first thing is that we have another Hafner involved, okay? And obviously, he does look like a senior, right? Hafner, senior, right? We got a junior, and then we got maybe, an older brother type of thing. I could be. Now, they're all founders, co-founder, and I'm not sure what his actual status is, but it does look like that we are in some sort of family family business type of scenario. Now, it's not a bad thing. I'm not trying to make that out as a negative. I've seen other projects do one other project in my 80 plus deep dives that I've been doing, run as a family business, and it's a 50-50 shot for me personally. Again, guys, I when you family, sometimes there's extra drama, sometimes there's things that sometimes there is no extra drama, sometimes it's great. I don't know, guys, but ultimately I'm bringing here the data. You make your own decisions. We have 3 Hafners here on the team, and the rest of them are quite interesting as well. Let's take a look at these in more detail. Of course, this is the Thomas Hafner. He's a basically an entrepreneur, a serial entrepreneur. Let's just make it very simple. He is the co-founder of OPENSERV. Okay, so it wasn't on his title, so we can say that he is one of the founders, and you can see he's therapeutics. Okay, so that's his main I guess his main contribution is therapeutics. Okay, so I don't know how that relates to crypto or Web3 or even any Web2 perhaps therapeutics. Okay, so let's move on from there. And then we have Lucas Hafner. Lucas Hafner, if you go through here, you have a co-founder and self-employed. Okay, and then you have the co-founder of a different project, which is a mining project. Okay, so co-founded a blockchain mining venture on the world's largest decentralized machine learning network, a BitTensor. So there is a BitTensor background here, but he's a miner. Okay, so he has mining experience. Is this a valuable experience? Sure, it is a valuable experience. How valuable? I'm not one to judge, but I don't know if a miner has the experience to really understand what it really means to organize or to structure a Web3 product, right? It's a very hardware-based industry. Okay, so again, I'm not going to judge, but look, at least there's some Web3 connection here by getting in the mining game. Research and development intern, and we're talking about what industry? Let's see, emissions and methane emissions and fermentation and science related stuff. Okay, so if you go to his education, Bachelor of Arts of Business and Psychology, and he has an IB diploma. That's his high school diploma. So you can see that this individual is very young still, very young, and that's that. Okay, so we go, maybe this is the older brother thing, type of thing, perhaps. And again, co-founder, and it looks like the 2 brothers got involved in this mining project really early, and that's about it. It seems like the other dude really did biggie up this experience a lot more. But nonetheless, it's here, the mining scenario. We have venture fund focused on early stage businesses and consume health space. So health space, AI workflows for corporates. I'm not sure what that means. And then standard DAO, and then on-demand staffing software. So a little bit of software experience here, which is good. And I don't see, we have international IB program as well. And Babson College, Bachelors of Science, Finance, Entrepreneurship. So a businessman. And that's about it. Okay, so okay, sounds interesting. They got a bit of background in the Web3 space based on their mining capabilities and a bit of software involvement here and there, and that's about it, right? Okay, so far, like, okay, we would say 50-50 here. Now we start to look at the higher talent. Here we have a head of technology, Mert here. If you keep on going down, he's not even listed. He's not even listed as being OPENSERV employed, his experience. So and this is the individuals that's on their website. So I'm like, okay, this is a bit of an issue. If he was proud and very active, he should be listed here. Again, I'm going to go back to the website. You can see that he is right here. Okay, and he's a AI systems architect. I'm just going to try to find his page again. Not here, not here. He's not listed. So I'm not sure what's going on here. Is he not proud to be part of the team or not? He is currently joint head of technology, senior software architect at this project, right, OMA. So what's going on here? Okay, so that's a concern. And then we go out to here, and you can see he's also a chief technology officer. Is he or isn't he? Who is the chief here of technology? And then if you start reading, obviously there is a little bit of experience, creative leader, and I don't see much Web3, and it could be that he is. Maybe this LinkedIn page is not up to par or not updated, but I don't see much happening. If you see his profile, I'm a leader and an entrepreneur with years of hands-on experience founding and leading multiple startups and innovative products. I garnered a deep understanding of technology by building systems, skills ranging from integrated circuits and multi-cloud system architecture. Okay, so maybe a Web 2 thing. Again, where's the blockchain? Where's the Web 3? Where's that? Maybe could be there, but guys, I'm not getting much evidence so far. And maybe, again, it needs to be updated. This is the tech, the brains behind the tech. Let's see. Now, I think the most value comes here. Fontini, she is the marketing guru, and I can see that this individual does have experience. Okay, so if we go back to all and see all the experiences that she has, she's a marketing IBM senior product marketing leader, and lots of marketing experience, strategic marketing from various companies that, you know, are you know, obviously well known, and it's good to have this on board. So it's great. Okay, so she right now for me is probably the biggest talent. Again, I this is all I'm given, so this is what I'm gonna go by. Fine, the team is okay. It's 50-50 at the current moment for me. It could be a little bit better. Tech startups, she's the talent in my opinion right now on the team. Let's move on. So that's that. I'm trying to be very honest and open about what I find here, because ultimately the team has to be responsible to provide all these details to me, if it's going to if it's going to try to convince the retail investor to deploy capital into this. All right, so let's move on. What else do we got here? We did the OPENSERV, we got the team, again, the roadmap and all of that. That's all we really got, guys. And obviously we have to reflect on what's going on with the price, because the price is also very super important. But before we do that, you guys know that I do release an infographic summarizing my findings just to make it easy for future reference. So let's get right into that, and then we'll take a look at the price. OPENSERV, what is it? How could we, how do we interpret what we found here today? We'll take a look at this in more detail. Let's see, let's zoom in here and see what's going on with the system, the ecosystem. The ecosystem in general is a token. Okay, SERV is a token on the largest network. Of course, that's bullish. Ethereum, lots of liquidity there, but as a decision to just have a token on ETH at the current moment, in my opinion, it is not a good thing. Nobody right now, as you can see, that the Ethereum performance, and even on the on-chain transactions of Ethereum based projects, they're lagging hard, and they're actually going down in comparison to other L1s that are faster, and absorbing a lot of the liquidity that Ethereum has had in the past. So just understand that that's very, very troubling to me, and as a decision, therefore, it's its decision to have that used in their ecosystem leads me to believe that it needs to be quickly pivoted to base, quickly to base. That's something that needs to happen as soon as possible if they're going to make this thing work. The utility, the utility is, the token is used for hiring custom AI agents, deploying pre-configured agents and teams, and great teams of agents. But the problem is that the token really, the utility is pegged to its ecosystem, and there's no ecosystem right now other than the token. So the token has utility, but the utility is spectacle. All we're doing is talking about speculation. We don't know where it's going to end up happening, because there's nothing there. There's no product. There's nothing. There's no marketplace. There's no agents. There's nothing at all. So we're talking about speculation, speculative speculation. 5 out of 10. Let's hope that they get that ecosystem going, and everything that they want to deploy, and then maybe there's something to offer there, maybe, but right now there's nothing there. Okay, so that's something to consider. The roadmap, completely underdeveloped, but at least there's some points there. At least they acknowledge that it needs to exist, but there's very little there, guys, and really a lot of the language there is basic. So in fact, I should have gave it 1 out of 10 just for being there on a white paper, but again, no dates whatsoever is problematic. The team, a little bit iffy, 50-50. Founder seems to be all of them seem to be related. I think it's like a family run thing. Fine, it could be a good thing. Tech talent is ambiguous. As I mentioned, some of those individuals that are listed there, they have LinkedIn pages, but some of them don't have the information. Some of them are not even employed. They don't even say they're employed by them. So is it true? Is it not? A bit of a red flag there for me with regards to the team. And then we start talking about the social, and the social ultimately, They got almost 10,000 followers, which is pretty good considering that they're very, very small. Okay. They've been growing followers steadily, up 75% from the previous month, which is okay, which is good. You know, kudos to them. And they've been posting, but down from the last 30 months. So basically in the previous 30 months, they were posting a lot more. Even though they are still posting about 42 posts in the last 30 days, they were posting almost 100 in the previous 30 days. Okay, so they're slowing down a little bit as far as their activity and their efforts on the social, on the X, but still okay. You gotta admit, for a small social, for a small project, this is what you expect. This is what you get. You gotta, measure it with the right stick, and the measuring stick that I'm using is a small project. Its market cap is tiny. Okay, we gotta be real about that. So it's not bad altogether. They're trying. Tokenomics 5 out of 10. The reason being, it's another 50-50. The team in the treasury, that's the biggest issue here. Okay, so there are remaining tokens that will be get them emitted, and they are the team and the treasury tokens. The team, obviously the tokens are going to run through the team in a vesting schedule that we talked about already. It's there on online on their website, on their white papers. You can see a bit of it, and of course there's third-party applications that will give you those details. And then the treasury, no information there other than the fact that they are as a board, and I can imagine who's on the board, right? Remember, we're talking about a 3 family members, maybe more, we don't know, that is involved in this project. Are they part of the board? And most likely they are. And if they are controlling the treasury. And if they're controlling the treasury, guys, this is running as a family-run operation, which means that it's very centralized and it's very old school structure. And it needs, this is for me not up to par with what a Web3 project of today's day and age needs to be structured like, right? So either you're going to be decentralized and you're going to have a DAO, or you're going to be centralized and have independent VCs and independent people, not a family-run business, and your board of directors needs to be a DAO. It needs to have some that, especially if you have a treasury, you need to decentralize that authority. All right, that is too much to be controlled by a board that is most likely a team. A family run. Okay, so that's that. Again, being honest is key here, guys. These are the remaining tokens that need to be emitted. Bit of an issue. Relationships, none. Okay, I'm going to be real about that. Never found anything. And exchanges, they got some liquidity on Uniswap. About 24% of the tokens are on Uniswap, and that's about it. The rest of them are low liquidity, and that's obviously an issue and an opportunity at the same time. I would say it's more of an issue right now because let's say, hypothetically, for some reason, this project pumps really good. Are you going to be able to find the liquidity to sell? On paper, on your portfolio, on your wallet, you will see that you'll have many zeros next to your name, but try selling it. Are you going to be able to? That is the concern. Trust me, many cycles. I've been here. I've seen this happen to many individuals. They're on paper and their wallet, they're up. They've done very well, but they can't. Nobody is out there to buy it. And this is the problem by just having a DEX. Only a DEX liquidity. And Uniswap is the only one that we can really rely on at the current moment. I think they need centralized exchange listing as soon as possible so they can provide some liquidity there and get some of the liquidity out. So that we can be able to securely buy and sell. Now, of course, token listings on exchanges are bullish, and this is where the opportunity comes in. Little by little, this number goes up to 2, 3, 4, 5, and maybe Binance listing, who knows when. And if it does happen, that's where you get the massive pumps, right? So you're buying from the ground right now. You're buying at a low level, the lowest possible rating that you can get when a project enters the space is a decentralized exchange, because all you have to do is write the contract and deploy liquidity. Very easy, very low barriers to entry. Whereas getting on a centralized exchange, there's a lot more to happen. Okay, so keep that in mind. Now, let's kind of recheck some of these coin info. Okay, so as of yesterday, we were hovering around about 9.2 cents. I think we're still around that level. Market cap, again, is pretty good given the fact that a lot of the tokens are already in circulation. We're talking about 66% of the tokens are already there out of the 1 billion. That should be a B, sorry, guys. And then the fully diluted $92 million is still very young. It's still a very small project, guys. We have to understand that based on its market cap, it's still young. And even its tech is very theory. There's nothing there, guys, right? So that's one of my major concerns, is there's nothing really there to offer as a product. And when that happens, what happens is we're taking on a little bit of risk. And when you're taking risk, you got to make sure that your position size is directly correlated to that risk, right? So risk to reward, that's basically what I'm talking about here. So it is part of the AI agents narrative, and we know that those narratives, the narrative chase is a really important one. You want to be part of the hottest narratives, and of course, being part of this narrative gives us a little bit of hope. Okay, fine, I get it. Ethereum, that's a bit of an issue for me. Personally speaking, I am not buying Ethereum-based projects at all. In fact, if I'm buying them on centralized exchanges. There's no way that I'm going to entertain or support the structure of Ethereum and the way it treats transactions in the peak of a bull run, where the gas fees are crazy. I'm not supporting that, and it's not because of the money only, the cost only. It's because we need to support L1s, chains that really provide quality value and provide a value proposition that solve problems. We need a software solution, not a software problem. And Ethereum has a lot of problems. So yes, it claims to be chain agnostic, and a lot of projects that come out and claim to be chain agnostic don't realize that really what that means. It's that it's a project, a Web 2 project with a token on top, because they can just deploy liquidity on any chain and still have a Web 2 project. If you think about what I'm saying here, is that you can slap a token on anything nowadays, right? On an image, on a JPEG, and it's part of it. It technically, fundamentally lacks the integrity of a Web3 project, right? And I speak a lot about this on my live streams, and I'm not going to get into that right now. But if you understand what I'm saying here, is at the current moment, this project does not resemble a Web3 project, other than the token itself, with very little utility, okay? Very little, other than currency. At the moment, the token has no utility, and I'm being very clear about that. The treasury is not defined to be governed by a DAO or any type of structure that decentralizes the authority. Everything is very centralized as far as I can see. 34% of the organization is centralized, and the remaining tokens are centralized to the board, okay? And that's quite a bit of tokens, whether they be directly to the team or the treasury, and that's something that I'm worried about. The 5% buy and sell tax, guys, that's old school. This I haven't seen this in so long, and I don't think it's working out for a lot of the projects that implemented this. This should be done. This shouldn't be a topic of conversation in this space any longer. And as we go down, we have burning mechanism, has no details regarding the implementation. So the burning mechanism, they say what they want to burn, then when do they decide that that's going to happen? Usually it's the DAO. Usually they vote. You token holders, they go vote and they say, okay, how many are we going to burn? When are we going to burn? Why are we going to burn? And then they decide, and then they burn. Right now, who's doing that? Well, most likely it's going to be the team. It's going to be the board. And who's on the board? I can imagine that it's going to be the lead team members, the founders, the co-founders. Okay, so you know what I said about the co-founders, right? So Telegram has activity. Okay, great. Discord has very little. I went on there, nothing happening. The Telegram has some activity. Now, in fact, I was able to get in contact with the founder, and I asked him a couple of questions, and he was kind enough to give me his time, and he did respond, and I did integrate a lot of everything that he responded to me here in this video. And the reality is, all due respect, I think this project has a little bit of work to do, and ultimately the fundamentals behind it are a bit questionable. So a bit of work, 100%. Founder is willing to answer any questions. That's a bonus. Okay, it's a bonus. It's good. Go grill him. Go on Telegram. Ask tons of questions. Whatever you're interested. If he answers, great. And if he doesn't, and if it's a matter of not providing information, you can blame the documentation, because everything should be written on a Git book nowadays, right on their website, and it should be clear and transparent, and it should offer all the details that we need to get fundamentally bullish. And technically speaking, SERV, I'm being modest here. The reality is a 4x, 200K market cap. At its current market cap, it does a 4x, maybe reaches 50 cents. If everything goes well for it, maybe higher because of the narrative. If they revamp some of this that's going on, I would be more bullish. But ultimately, I'm giving this thing a bad rating because there's a lot of ambiguity and a lot of risk when I start looking through this. A lot of red flags, a lot of issues, and I'm giving it a 2 out of 10, guys. So that's that. As you know, I also talk about price action. So let's get right into that, guys. I know you want to talk about charts, so let's do it. Let's see what's going on with the token itself. You can see as the market, as Bitcoin and Ethereum and the rest of the crypto space struggles with horizontal support, so are low cap projects such as SERV, and you can see it's currently battling the bottom of the range. Let's take a look at this in a little bit more detail. Now you can see we have bottoms, bottoms, bottoms. This is structure right now. This structure right now is a battlefield for this. And there's tons of liquidity right now being questioned in the sense that if it breaks below this horizontal support line right around, okay, I'm going to be a little bit flexible here, 0.077. If it falls below 7.7 cents, it's very likely to look for the next level of liquidity. And the next level of liquidity, next level of horizontal support is all the way down here, and this is where we're going to start looking for a more hunting of capital, where we could see first of all, this is a weak spot. This whole zone right here is a weak spot, given the fact that there's no volume in there, there's no liquidity, there's nothing in there to hold up the price, all within this channel. If you look left, there's no price action, meaning no support zones. You have little ones that are along the way, but are they enough to hold up the price? No. The higher probability level to hold up the price is right here. A lot of more action, a lot more emotional individuals in this space, in this spot. So what I would say is, yeah, maybe you want to say buy the dip, or let's see if we can find a nice emoji or some sort of icon. Let's see, text, and let's put yeah, maybe a flag. Let's see how that works. This is the zone. Let's change the color. Let's make it yellow. This is the, not green, yellow. And you can see that this is the zone. This is where you got to be a bit interested, right into here. If we fall down to here, you might want to say. Now, ultimately, what about right now? Right now is not bad either. And I'm going to explain why I think if taking risk right now is good, because it's all about the momentum. The momentum right now is almost completely oversold. If it falls below the 30% mark, which is almost in it, really, it's right now, it's at 29.25. That's where you usually get the bigger drops, okay? The bigger impulses to the downside, right? And if that happens, it could fall right through this volume gap. And the volume gaps as a weak spot suggest that if you buy here, you're going to be underwater. And if we start measuring that whole scenario, if it does fall, it's going to fall approximately 43%, 45% from where we are right now. That's a significant drop. You're going to basically lose half of your value, okay? And that is a pretty a big hit, right? So think about it. You put $100 in, it comes down to $50, and that's obviously not good. Now you could put a stop loss underneath here if it starts to fall. You can put a stop loss in there if we, get a back test, we start falling and back testing and that kind of thing. Because ultimately, what we want to do is protect ourselves as we continue moving on, right? As we keep on moving on, we want to protect our initial investment if we do deploy into that area. We don't want to put it at risk. We want to, ensure that if we do fall down to those lower levels, that we could buy down here. That's what we want to do. We want to be able to buy down here. So you can stop yourself out right around here and reaccumulate in this level as the market chips away at this liquidity here. Because there's going to be some volume. There's some people that are not going to have weak hands. They're going to have weak hands. They're going to sell on losses. They're going to, capitulate. And we can go buy those liquidations right around this level, obviously. Then, worst case scenario, again, all scenarios we're going to talk about here, we start breaking below this structure, which was a nice bull flag in the past. People did accumulate and ran up and were very, very profitable. And then we start looking at the next case scenario is, guess what? We come down to these levels. This level right here has the majority of the liquidity. Could we absolutely come down here? I think that, look, unless this becomes a project that fizzles away and dies, which I hope it doesn't, then we come down there. If it's going to have a future, even if it is maybe a future that maybe is not as strong as we expect, or whatever the case is, if the fundamentals shape up and all of that, maybe it might have a strong future. And in that case, look, we come down to this level and we hold this zone right here, and then we start bouncing and we start, getting a reversal. Guys, that's a big retracement. I really don't think the market's going to give us that scenario. I think that if we do drop to here be content with a buy the dip accumulation opportunity. That's how I would look at it. Now, buying in right here is not bad either, but you have to decide on how you're going to defend yourself if it comes down. Either stop yourself out or just deploy, let's say, 50% of your bag here and then deploy the rest down here, another 50, giving you an average price of about, 6 cents. That's fine. Or you double down, triple down, so that you can drag your average cost down as close as possible to this level when it does drop. And therefore, on the bounce, on the recovery, you're going to be in the profit a lot quicker. The concern right now is that we're oversold and we're not getting any signs of a reversal here on the 4-hour. If we get signs of bullish divergence and a bit of follow through, a change of character, then we're interested. But right now, we're trying to catch a falling knife, and we can fall right through this thing and then eventually start falling right through to about 4.2 cents. 4.2 cents might be the place where to take real risk. Right here, take small chances, take small bids, and see what happens. We get a nice reversal. The first area of resistance is getting back into price discovery, which would be breaking above this level. I would be taking profit, or at least trailing up a triggered stop loss right around 11.7 cents and seeing if it can actually break through. If it breaks through, great, congrats. But if it doesn't, at least that you locked in some gains from here, or even from here, you locked in a bit of gains, and ultimately you're trying to defend yourself level to level. Guys, if I've offered you any value in this video, do the channel a massive favor, slap the like button. If you want to follow me on the socials, the links are in the description below. Feel free to join the Discord, guys. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. The best part is it's absolutely free. Guys, I'm going to be live tonight at 8 p.m. EST, where we talk about crypto news and price action. And if you have any other projects that you want me to do deep dives on the Discord, there is an area for you to make those requests. And obviously, we vote on the next deep dive. Take care, guys. Have a good one, and don't forget, buy the dip.